All right. So the next one up is Riverside. I have not heard one bad thing about Riverside ever. Again, I have never.
So you heard it from me and other people as well?
Other people, yep.
Okay.
I've had people ask me if I've used it, seeing what I think about it. And I go back and ask them how it is. They love it. Everyone, I promise you, I've never heard one bad thing said about this platform. That being said, I have never used it because I don't need it because I have other avenues and ways of doing things. But anyone who used it said it's fantastic. So take that for a grain of salt to what it is.
I used it once.
What'd you think?
I thought it was interesting. I loved it. Was the first time I was introduced to the idea of local recording, which I thought was great. I love how it had wave quality recording. And I also loved the built-in editor. And I love how they basically, when you come into the program, it has you be 3 different positions. Either a guest, a host, or a producer.
Mm-hmm.
So the implication is, okay, these are the parts. You're gonna have a producer, somebody who's gonna be assisting with the audio, with the video, kind of as we spoke to with the other thing with the green room. Someone involved, making sure things go smoothly. And what the producer can do, there's actually a button on there to click highlight. So basically, you can create. A lot of times when we create podcasts, we end up turning things into social clips and things like that. There's a highlight button that helps you find those quickly after the podcast is over. Like start, stop, start, stop. Like this is a highlight, start, stop. I thought that was pretty cool too. So
really cool.
And it's free.
There is a free tier.
The free tier, to me, in my opinion, is good enough.
That's good. So like how I view it is like it takes all the pros of Zoom, it takes all the pros of a Squadcast, it takes all the pros of I think it's called the name's escaping me, but I use Zencaster. It takes all the pros of a Zencaster, which in 2017 when I used it, I wanted to throw it out the window. I hated it. But since then I've heard it's better. It takes all those like online web-based platforms, rolls it all into one, and just makes it the best of all worlds. So it also does video, right? It records the video in 4K as well, which
I think that may be the higher tier platform.
Most definitely.
I think it's 1080p for the free version,
which is still pretty crazy.
Which is still good. And you know what? Maybe 720, but still, it's
yes. If I had to guess, 720 is standard HD.
It's
on the free tier.
720.
If I had to guess, the $15 is 1080p, which is HD, like high HD, and then the $24 a month tier is probably 4K, which is 3080p. So yeah, really cool.
I never really got that.
What?
Like why they just round for the Ks.
Well, we could call it 38K. 4K sounds better.
3.8K.
3.8K.
It ain't 4, man. It ain't 4.
That's why when you buy
But the thing is, they kept it going. They had 2K, then they had 3K. We're up to 5. My GoPro shoots in 5K. That's really 4,800 pixels.
Yeah, it's 400 pixels.
It's like you guys, maybe for the first time, but you're just rounding here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like when they do it when you buy a hard drive, right? When you buy an
false
SSD.
Advertisement,
when you buy an SSD and it's 2 terabytes, it's actually like 1.84.
Yeah,
I think that's because there's stuff on the actual drive that you can't delete because otherwise the whole thing wouldn't work.
That is the reason.
So yeah, it's little slimy, but they're technically not wrong.
You know what I'm saying? If it's like with frame rate, 60 frames per second. It's 60 frames per second.
Yeah. Well,
which we'll get into it.
We'll get into a little bit. But you did mention records and wave files, which is cool. Like, yeah, that's cool.
Well, I could tell you something about waves.
Yeah, okay. So break down the coolness of wave files. And after you do that, I'm gonna say why it doesn't matter at all. So break down why waves are cool.
I know where you're gonna go for it. So I'm gonna build it up and then burst the bubble.
Yep.
All right. So wave files.
Put that camera on you.
Wave files. There has always been. It's like, oh, waves higher quality. Waves higher quality. No, people say that they don't really know what it means. It is factually higher quality. I'll tell you why.
Yeah, it's irrefutable.
The human hearing range. This is real scientific, real nerdy stuff, but it's facts. I audio engineer, so I understand this stuff. The human hearing range is 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, arguably, right? Now, sound is made up of frequencies. So a low sound is going to be higher than just different parts of the frequency range from here to here. 20 hertz, 20,000 hertz. Wave files, they have all of those frequencies. MP3s, depending on the quality of the MP3, it starts cutting off high frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes down to about, if you go to like an 8-bit, MP3, it'll go down to 12,000 as opposed to at a 20. Don't quote me on the number, but I know it'll cut down to 16. It may go a little bit further, but basically you're losing high end, you're losing detail. And that is what a wave is. There's a steep fall in those frequencies after 16,000 where it just comes off like a cliff. They just get completely chopped off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'll say about waves.
Yeah, so
when you go to MP3.
Yeah, wave files are higher quality. That's just a fact. That is an indisputable fact. However, they also create bigger files. The file
much bigger.
It's probably like double the size at least. If you record,
much more than that.
Really?
Much more
so
than
if I record an hour of audio is about 100 megabytes.
Yep.
It's a tenth of a gigabyte. How much would an hour of the same audio be in a wave?
You mean MP3?
MP3 in a wave, yeah. So an hour.
Which one is 100?
So an hour of MP3 is about 100 megabytes.
Okay, so you're probably at like 192 sample rate. Okay.
Okay. So and what's that same audio in a wave? How big is it?
300.
It's about 3 times the size then.
Yeah, 300. Okay. 400. It also depends on the sample rate, but yeah, you're looking at probably double, triple times the size.
Okay. So that means that it's triple. Yeah. So the reason why it doesn't matter is for podcasting specifically. It's exclusively a podcasting thing. If you upload a wave file to an RSS feed, it's gonna go in as a wave file. But once it runs through iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, or Anchor even, they're going to automatically compress the audio to MP3 quality anyway.
They're trying to save server space, y'all.
Exactly. And the reason they do that is because of server space. When you upload...
And bandwidth.
When you upload to a distribution platform, it costs... The amount of downloads you get technically costs them money. Because it's using the server space, and and when it gets downloaded, it uses their server space. So the bigger the file, the more expensive the cost is going to be. Nash can explain this a lot better than I can, but basically, they compress it from a WAV file to an MP3 file quality to save money.
Think about it like physical storage.
Yeah.
You could. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Physical storage. You have a cup this small versus something this big, then it's going to be easy to store more of these. You're going to need to spend more money to get more space, and that's the game. And people's internet connections, it takes a lot to hear a wave. You're streaming a 300 megabyte file as opposed to a 30 megabyte file. 50 megabyte file.
Yeah.
Big difference.
It's big difference. So you can record in WAV. Like if a company tells you we record in WAV, just be like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Because by the time you upload it, it's gonna be for
podcasts.
For podcasting.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing movies and stuff, WAV files is definitely the way to go. Because they'll put the extra money in. But specifically for podcasting, you won't be able to hear the difference between a regular MP3 going through the RSS feed as opposed to a WAV file being compressed into the RSS feed. It's gonna sound pretty much the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a slight difference, but you have to know what you're looking for.
You'd have to do it for a living.
Yeah, 99.9% of your audience will not be able to hear the difference.
Exactly.
So yeah, waves are cool, but for podcasting, it's not necessary. But also, Riverside also records on separate audio and video tracks, which is really cool.
Oh, Squadcast didn't do that?
No, I don't know if Squadcast, I think, does video. They should. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I liked how it was a multi-track. It was basically like having a DAW on a browser.
Yeah.
Which is, that's a lot of back-end coding.
It is a lot of back-end coding.
I love it.
Riverside also local and cloud storage. We just went over that. They have a built-in editor, which is huge. So it kind of this adds an extra feature to Squadcast because you can record and edit in the same platform, which is just like a DAW. They have audio transcription, which is a great feature if it's accurate.
I did not test that.
I did not test that. Like, honestly, I have not met a good one. I have not seen a great one. because it's very hard. Because someone like me who talks fast and mumbles a little bit.
Well, and you know, what about accents?
Accents, yep.
You know?
Proper nouns sometimes.
I mean, slang.
Like
no one speaks like a complete robot.
Yeah.
You're going to say gonna, you're going to say wanna, you're going to say gotta, like all of these things.
You're gonna like, if I say talking with Tarashuk, a transcription service is not going to know what the fuck I'm talking about. So, like, it's cool that it's in there. Adobe also has one. So I use one in Premiere. If you notice on our clips on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or whatever, I do include subtitles. Audition does do Premiere does do an auto transcription, but I go back and edit. They add periods where periods shouldn't be all the time. They make up words all the time. So, transcription service, cool feature if it works well. My guess is it doesn't work well because it's probably very expensive to create. My guess. I don't know. That's my guess. So really cool if it works well. Team collaboration on their back end can divide between hosts, producers, and editors, and guests, as Christian said.
Yep.
And you can have up to 8 people per session in a recording. So I guess that means you could have 8 people on a panel. You could have 2 guests and like some PR reps. Like say like I'm interviewing a C-suite executive, like a CFO, and someone from their team wants to listen on the podcast. They're allowed to. I could have them in the session, up to 8 people. Or like say someone on my team wants to listen in, right? They can do that. You can. I guess that's kind of cool because have like you can have up to 7 people. Like if it's you and a guest, you can have up to 6 fans listening on your podcast. They just gotta make sure they're muted and their cameras off, which you can handle. You can do. So stuff like that is cool. You can utilize it and be creative with it. They also have screen sharing, which is like a Zoom feature. So if they're giving a presentation, they can share their screen, which is just a great feature for podcasting. It saves you editing work in the back end. So like if I could just not have to edit in B-roll and they can just screen share it and hit play, great. That's super useful. They also have live streaming, which I did not know. We're getting some pretty high, into some high tech stuff here.
I'm telling you, man, this Riverside thing, it's even with the, I mean, for 50, even if it's not included in the free tier, I mean, I think some of the live streaming that might be $15 a month.
That'd probably be $24 a month.
I mean,
that's an exclusive service for sure.
Yeah, I mean, no.
I don't know.
From what I remember, I think it was actually part of the free tier. I mean, the thing is, this company, they're trying to make it so there's no reason for you not to use their platform. Clearly, with all of the features.
And they're very good at it, apparently. So live streaming is really cool. As I wonder how that works though, because how many platforms can they distribute to, or is it like an OBS where it can go to one and that one can be a restream?
That I don't remember. I did look into it, but I don't remember what I saw there.
Right.
But either way, if you can go to one place, then maybe it goes to a place like Restream, where that goes to multiple places.
Yeah.
I think they have a partnership or some sort.
Probably. They can also do custom branding. So you can, how like we in our videos have our custom branding, our logos in here. You can do that on Riverside, which people love. That's a great feature. They also allow for custom frame rates. So Christian, elaborate the difference between frame rates and what frame rates mean.
Okay, you got me doing all the geeky stuff today.
Hell yeah.
Frame rate. Frame rate is basically you have like 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second. All a video is a whole bunch of pictures, 30 or 60 taken per second to represent motion. So 60 frames per second means you have more pictures and therefore more detail and therefore more accuracy with the motion. Instead of you take one of those flip books where it's like,
yep.
Except you get 60 of them. So you get a full range of motion.
The motion is way smoother.
How smooth do you want the video to be? Riverside evidently can customize that for you to tell your camera to do 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second.
Could I do like 45 frames per second?
I've never heard of 45 frames per second.
All right, so it's like they have like in tiers, like anything.
We're doing. I think we're doing 30 right now. So
The standard's 30,
the standard is 30.
or it's like even it's like 29.9 or something.
Yeah, and it's very rare to see 60 frames per second. There's actually, I saw one movie with it, a Will Smith movie that came out on Netflix not too long ago.
When he's a cop with like the blue alien.
Yeah, it's the one
Something
where
like
he's
that.
like fighting his younger self somehow.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people complained about the way the movie looked because it seemed too real.
It looks weird.
It looks almost 3-dimensional.
Like the Hobbit movies.
I haven't seen that.
Back in 2013, they were filmed, I think, in 60 FPS, and people said it looked really weird.
It looks weird.
Yeah, it does. Like on camera, it looks, because they're so used to 90. Oh, no, sorry, not 30.
30, yeah.
So 60 looks a little different. Oh, yeah, it's like on Monday Night Football, they have those 8K cameras, and it looks so detailed. Like the background's a little blurred because it looks so real.
Right.
Like WWE uses them too, because like Fox has has a partnership with them. They're really cool. They look amazing. But it takes some getting used to. It takes your eyes.
I mean, because if you're, I mean, a camera is an eye. If you're looking at,
it's a lens.
You're looking out of your eyes into something that is starting to resemble what your eyes sees. It starts to seem like it's just actually there in front of you, and you're not watching something.
Yeah.
But that's all about frame rate.
All right.
Similar thing with sample rate, but we can get into that.
Yeah, that's an audio editing thing, which is a few episodes later.
It also doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because of what it's going to get boiled down to.
Interesting. That's good to know as well.
Mm.
So then, I must have Transistor. Riverside also has a mobile app. So
that's a game changer.
Is it only on the phone or is it downloaded on the computer?
So I don't know if it has a downloadable desktop version.
Yeah, that was the one thing that confused me.
I used it on the browser. I used it on Google Chrome. But I do like how it does have a mobile app.
If I had to do all of these features on my phone, I would lose my mind.
Yeah, but the thing is, maybe your guest doesn't have a webcam.
Yeah, and they can just be on their phone.
And they could just be on the phone. And we're talking about phones in 2022.
Yeah.
Crazy megapixels and, all of the stuff. I think that's really helpful. It's really helpful.
So yeah, Riverside, if you think that's for you, go check it out. It's in free $15 and $24 a month tiers. As of recording this, as the platform grows, it's going to go up. And the features are going to be less and less.
It's riverside.fm. So if you go looking for .com, you're not going to find it.
Yeah, .fm. So,
yeah,
cool. That's all the software.